assume he is now.
What's up, everybody? It's me,
This is
Johnny,
really bad.
and with me, I've got DJD and Farmer.
Howdy.
Hey guys.
Hey guys, we're doing the visual bit. I can see it. That thing is pretty sweet.
I like it actually. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Portable and everything.
that's what my router is connected to right now that I have power to to my internet. So that's how I'm able to talk right now.
That's
and
what's
power is
up.
just about to you'll see the power go out. This is the visual bit. Here in 3 minutes the power is gonna go out and I'm just gonna be, sitting here in a dark room.
Yeah, just
How's that different than normal?
we'll just see the light
True.
on his eyes. So again, Farmer's got a scheduled power outage.
Yeah.
What are they? Are they working on something?
Yeah, they're moving a couple mainframes. I think they've had several poles down. They have to redo the main lines. So yeah, and since we're a small town, we don't have any other power sources that they can defer to.
Right.
I don't think.
Right.
So,
Well, and but also, I mean, 11 p.m. It's not the biggest deal, right? To be out.
Like who's up at this hour?
Yeah, who would be recording a podcast or something at this hour? I would let everyone know that I record the podcast at 1 p.m. at a very respectable time.
Well,
is it going? Is the power out now? It's 97.
I mean, no. This is activated right now, running my wireless router.
Okay.
Just so in 1 minute, it's about to go off here in 1 minute.
Can you say what this thing is? That it's like a backup power source, right?
So what we're looking at here is the brand is Jackery, but there's a bunch of different. It's basically a reserve power supply. A lot of campers use this, but for anybody really who's experiencing going out on the outdoors, wants a little power. This thing actually hooks up to a solar panel. You can get it's there's a mod that you can get to it. It plugs up to your car. So if you're wanting to charge it, on the road, you can really charge this thing just going anywhere. You can actually charge it from USB, and then it has the button here. When you click the button, then it starts giving out power.
Right.
And it was really cool. My PC started and everything, and then it started getting past the 300 watts. I'm like, ooh, I think this thing is rated for 240. Yeah, that's not going to work.
How long does it last? How long does one charge on that bad boy last? I know it depends on how much
hours depending on the output, but for something like this, that's just a single, 120 or something like that. That's running not too much. This is 12 watts right now. It'll run for a long time like this on a 12 watt. Now, if you get something more 100 watts, you're probably talking a couple, 3 or 4 hours, something like that, probably.
I saw this really interesting thing. So, for those who are in the States are aware, there were some hurricanes through Asheville and through Florida that were pretty devastating. But I saw this one dude who had, I think, are they called Ford F1 Lightnings? They got these all electric pickup trucks. And it's a Ford. His was a Ford. And he was oh yeah, check it out. He had, the whole house was being powered by the car. The car's sitting in the garage, and they had the fridge and a bunch of stuff, and electric just plugged into the car, and it was pretty sweet.
Well, it's 11:01, and I still have power, so I don't know what's going on.
I know, yeah. That's annoying.
They're just messing with you.
You should call the company.
Everybody's okay, when is it gonna happen?
Right? Yeah, they're all.
This is why you need to become mayor. This is why I'm going to run your mayoral campaign.
Because we can make people believe things. Whether they're true or not, it doesn't matter. Right?
I was going to say to put a stop to the lies, but,
Oh, okay. That's where you're going with that.
I don't know how it is in the States, but here in Japan, at almost every rest stop, they have those fast wattage chargers for electric cars. Trying to encourage people to get electric cars. And Japan's a much smaller country than the US as well, right? So distances people travel is not as high. I would be super interested in getting an electric car, except that they don't sell an electric family vehicle, van, right? It's always a little car, or now they're doing trucks There is no
I was
like
gonna say, like
family
in
vehicle for it.
general, in Japan, it seems like the cars are smaller too.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I drive a minivan, which is probably the size of like a normal American car, but in Japan it's like one of the largest vehicles you can get. It's all right. All right. But what's up everybody?
Well, I mean, I had some stuff pulled up, but I don't have my computer on now, so much for that.
If you guys want me to talk, I'm just going to talk about World of Warcraft. So you guys can
wow.
I'll take a back seat on this one if you guys want to. This doesn't need to become a WoW podcast.
David, wasn't there some really cool stuff that we were talking about with Starfield? I think it's about time to talk about that.
The Starfield DLC seems really cool. I've started it. I haven't gotten very far in it, but I can stream that later tonight.
Really want to try that. Oh, you doing that later tonight? Cool.
Might in a bit, yeah. So anyone listening to this, you missed it. Sorry. Check the VOD.
Yeah. Hopefully you're there. If you weren't there, then we'll know.
But also, to bring it back around a little bit on Starfield versus Star Wars Outlaws. I mean, are you guys still playing that game? Or
I need to. I mean, I haven't been gaming at all.
Did Starfield kill it
the last week or so?
See, that's the problem. Is we haven't had chance to do anything really that much. Like we played. We had a really good time playing. What's that game, David?
Atlas Fallen.
Atlas Fallen.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was a lot of fun, and it was fun because we hadn't played in a while, and then we go back into a game that seems like it should be for this day and age like a single player game, but it's actually co-op and quite well done and a lot of fun. I mean, I had a blast.
Well, no, exactly. I mean, I feel terrible because I finished Final Fantasy VII Remake, right? And then I was like, oh man, I'm going to get into Horizon Zero Dawn. And I know I'm right at that precipice where you can get sucked in. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like games have that, like where you're in the intro area. I hit this with The Witcher 3, I think like 4 times. I would start over and complete all of that. I'm right on that edge. And then I started playing World of Warcraft, right? And now I've got like a level 24 and a level 70, and I'm like looking at buying the next expansion so I can get a level booster and all of that. But check this out. The throwback here. I recently bought For Honor on Steam because it was like $5.
I saw
we do need to play that
yesterday.
Yeah.
I saw you playing that. I'm like, what is this?
I loaded in and I was like, I'm just going to do the tutorials yesterday. I had a great time playing For Honor. And like I played for more than an hour. And I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. I want to do this.
There's still something left for me in that game.
It's funny because when I was playing that game, it was when my son was very young, and like I'm playing it on the family TV, so I like turned off blood and decapitations, right? So it's like a very different game than the game you guys are playing. And when I started playing the game, Johnny actually saw me playing the game, and he was like, "Oh, Natsukashi," which is like it means like nostalgic. He was like, "Oh, like I remember you used to play this game when I was little," and I was like, "Oh my!" And he's like, "This game's so cool."
Oh, that's kind of cute, actually. Yeah, I kind of love that.
I've dreamt nights of playing this one day when I grew up.
But check it out. Also, one thing that makes it better is my main, for those who know For Honor, was Shigoki. And they kind of nerfed him a little bit. And he only had like 6 moves to begin with. And they changed how he did his moves. Like how you activated certain moves. And I really didn't like it. Right?
Sure. Yeah.
His moves are back to the way they were when I was first playing.
Oh yeah,
I loaded back in and I was like trying to check his moveset, and I'm like, this seems like exactly like how it used to be. And it is. And I lost all of the characters I unlocked. Like while there is cross play, there is not cross progression.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys want to play some For Honor sometime.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun getting back into it, man.
What is this, Johnny? Can you explain to me what's happening? Like, are you?
What is it? It was $5, man. That's what it is.
No, not just this game, but like we're talking about this. We're talking about WoW. Like I remember talking to
He's a PC gamer now.
Yeah, is it PC gaming that's brought you, back? Like you're turning back the clock. You're feeling nostalgic, something like that. I mean, when we were talking with Caitlin and on that first podcast that she was on, talking about the 100 billion people or something like that.
Right.
1 billion.
100 billion. Yeah, 100 billion people. Right.
Yeah, like so at that time, I think you were more like, I can't believe people still play WoW. How has this come about where you're one of those people now?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I want to know.
Well, there's a couple of things on it. Part of it, like David said, is like PC gaming. Also, I recently bought, as recent as yesterday, I bought Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War because they were both on sale for $6. And I beat Shadow of Mordor, but I've never played Shadow of War. So I was like, freaking, hey man, yeah, I'll throw it on the to play list, right?
Throw it on the docket, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
PC gamer, that's PC gamer life, man.
And I've been also on the lookout for when we go to America. I need to get some offline only games, right? Because we're going to be in the States for 2 weeks. I'm not going to be able to play any online games, so that would be a good option. But as far as WoW's concerned, not to bring this podcast all the way around, but I stopped playing Destiny 2.
And we made full circle now.
Yeah, we gone full circle. And like those kinds of games, like MMO-ish games, I do really well with games that have, I don't want to say progression, but like carryover, right?
Sure.
So there are some games like
persistent,
Halo,
like gaining or whatever.
Yeah, Halo or Apex. Every game, it's kind of its own game, right? It doesn't really matter how many hours you put into the game. A game is a game. But then like in Destiny, it did matter, right? Like how many, like it mattered on the gear you had. It's one of the reasons I really love to play Elite Dangerous, like of that persistent world, it really did matter. I've always really enjoyed stuff like that. And so getting into WoW, I mean, the big thing for it is that I got it working on my Steam Deck. I can just load into it. I'm sitting on the couch having a good time, do a couple quests, play a couple of, and also I got a high enough level that I can do dungeons. I really enjoy doing stuff like that. And that's it, man. That's what got me into WoW is I don't have an MMO in my life right now.
You chose the right time to abandon Destiny, though, because there has been thing after thing after thing with Destiny.
Oh yeah, what's going on?
I can only imagine at this point.
So first off, Destiny Rising got announced, right? The mobile game.
The mobile game.
There's a mobile game.
Let's go, baby.
The overall messaging for the mobile game is that A, it's not canon. B,
what?
It's not for, like, literally every single person who's defended this game has said this isn't for Destiny players. It's for mobile gamers. And it's like, well, that's not a great look. Like, what?
So it just basically says it's Destiny, but everything else is different, and it's not really even the same game, is what you're saying.
Well, it's the same, like, universe, but not really. It's the Silver Timeline or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, what? I love, have I heard Silver Timeline enough? Oh my goodness, I'm just like, I don't like that term anymore. It's just, it's bad. It's bad omen.
Well, no, the thing is that like people think that like when you hear, on one hand, I kind of get it, right? So like you guys remember pre-MCU, the Spider-Man movies, right? Like Tobey Maguire's first 3 Spider-Man movies. That's it. They exist in a vacuum, right?
Right.
And then you got Andrew Garfield's movies. They exist in a vacuum. The Fantastic Four and Spider-Man, they're never going to meet, right? The Fantastic Four movies and Spider-Man are like the Fantastic Four and even X-Men, who are both owned by Fox at the time.
Yeah.
There's not any crossover here. They're just totally separate.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like places, they almost want to go back to that versus like the interconnected thing, right? Where like everything, because man, let me tell you, when I hear Silver Timeline, all I hear is it doesn't matter. Really,
that's kind of what I hear too.
What I hear is don't get invested, don't get into it because this doesn't mean anything. you know?
Now, Destiny Rising is not made by Bungie; it's made by NetEase. So that kind of, sort of explains a few things, I guess.
I mean, I don't even know who that is.
NetEase is like a Chinese megacorp that like did Diablo Immortal. They're doing Marvel Rivals. They've done a bunch of games in the past.
Do they just make mobile games?
I think no,
I think it's just
but I
specialty.
feel like most of their like regular games, I'll look up and see what they've done. But so NetEase is making Destiny Rising, right? The problem that I have, one of the many problems that I have with that, is that it like might be a gacha game, you know, or something like that, because it seems like there's characters that you can get and stuff. Also,
So I'm assuming this only happened because PlayStation has control of Destiny. You know, like this probably would have never happened.
NetEase
Prior to
invested like a
that.
bunch of money in Bungie actually, before Sony completed their deal, I think. So
Yeah.
like I think NetEase actually like kind of like bought an ability to make a game.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
Like, okay, well,
yeah.
gotcha. If you fund us, we'll
Like
let
they
you
licensed
do a
it.
bubble.
Yeah,
You know,
essentially.
There is a Destiny event going on in
Yes, in For Honor.
Honor
Yes, I'm
right
so
now.
tempted. I'm so tempted.
it's really
I really
weird.
am. I told
What in
Fabrice
the
earlier this
world?
week, like this is probably the closest I'll get to Destiny.
So, a couple things. One, who play? And I'm going to say this. I'm going to sound so out of touch. Who plays mobile games? I don't. But it's not just that. I don't even know anyone who does. Right?
It looks actually. I amend my statement. It looks like pretty much all that they have are like mobile games for the most part.
And I mean, I know like a lot of people play Pokemon Go, and I see people on their phones playing games all the time. But like we've talked about my battery anxiety,
Right.
and like why I don't use my phone for anything like that. Like,
Yeah.
how do
If I had a
people do
dedicated
it?
device for gaming, that would be a little bit
Yeah,
different.
You have
but
to have
yeah,
two phones, man.
I am.
Play the games. You know.
I think those are, but then also I use a mini. I use a really small phone. Like, you know, it also has worse battery life than like the larger phones because the battery is literally smaller, right? Is that just it? Am I just that out of touch? Farmer, do you
Maybe.
play any mobile games?
Like, I think we kind of touched on this a little bit, but like the last time we kind of talked about it. I mean, honestly, to tell you the truth, I have definitely like within the last 5 years like moved away from playing mobile games. I think in the 2010, 2015 kind of era, I was playing it more because I was not
Same.
working here at home. But now that I work here at home, I've got, you know, if I'm going to take a break, I'm going to play on the Xbox, I'm going to play on the PlayStation, I'm going to play on the PC. I'm not going to clutter up my phone. The only time I got apps, really, is for the kids, or is an app for like something to integrate with like music software or something like that. You know,
Right.
I use my tuner on my phone like more than anything. I feel like my music
Guitar.
tuner app on my
That makes
phone.
sense.
Like, yeah, it's crazy. I use that more than anything. Like pretty much on my phone for like app worthy. Anyways, but yeah. I
Do
don't
you
anything.
play any mobile games?
Not at the moment. No, I'll do cloud every now and then, but like that's pretty
Were
much
you doing
it.
that Marvel game? What's it
Oh,
called?
Marvel Snap, which is a great
yeah,
game.
yeah.
And I
Yeah.
downloaded the Star Wars Battle Arena game, but I never played it. Star Wars Hunters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There was a time that I really liked mobile games, and there's like a mobile game. There's a Final Fantasy Tactics remake that's on mobile that I like, but I don't play it on my phone. I play it on an iPad, right? Like that's one of the other issues. There's a lot of games that I like would play on like iOS, like on an iPad. Like so technically, like I could play Hearthstone, but the problem is I feel like mobile games are all like so transaction driven. It's hard for me to get into them. You know?
I would agree with the ones that are like free to play mobile games and stuff, but I feel like the quality of mobile games has changed a little bit too. Like I feel like we are seeing like
Yeah, it kind of depends on what you
full
get for
quality
sure. Like
games
you said.
come to mobile sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
for
But the
sure,
problem
like,
is that like there's it's kind of like the Nintendo eShop, right? Like you go
Yeah.
to the Nintendo shop and there's a ton of junk on there, and then there's some quality games. Like, and really, I guess the same is kind of true for like the Sony and Xbox stores too, and Steam. But I mean, I feel like it's just like more prevalent or like harder to find like the quality stuff in some ways on certain shops and stuff. And I feel like the mobile gaming market is the same, where there's just so much noise that it's really hard to tell like when there's like quality products released.
Yeah, and everybody's trying to get that little piece of the pie. So whatever they can do,
yeah,
to get you in there free to play it, but also like, yeah, I hate the games where it's like the whole time they're like, buy this, buy this, buy this, and yeah, I'm done. I'm
Right.
done at that point. And I don't even play mobile games, but like for the experience that I've had, anytime a game does that, I'm pretty much uninstalling it like right away. I'm just not about that.
no, same. It's really interesting. Like I know Genshin Impact is a huge mobile game and such, but I wanted to touch on something really quick. What do you guys? So gotcha games. David said that he thinks it might be a gotcha game. What do you think is like the origin and the meaning of this word, like gotcha? Because it's not what I originally thought.
I really don't know. Like, I
What
mean, like I know that
originally
it's,
thought is it's a
essentially just
game
genre.
that it's a whole genre of game. It's a gotcha
Yeah.
game people talk about all the time. And without being in on this culture, what I thought when I first heard it is like it's the kind of game that it got you, right? It gets
Oh,
you. And
sure. When I first heard
it's
it, I
like
probably thought that.
it
Yeah.
charges you and you have to keep paying for the chance, like gambling, right? That's what I originally thought it came from. Gotcha game. But that's not actually what it comes from. Do you guys know what it comes from?
Yes, I do.
It comes from, it's an automatopoeia sound, kind of, and it comes from like Japanese toys. So there are these whole places that they have like basically not quite vending machines, but like gumball type machines
Oh yeah,
where you
yeah.
put in money and you spin the thing and it like would give you like a little capsule toy. That's
Oh, kind of
and-
like claw machines or whatever.
yeah.
sort
So
of.
you
Yeah.
got it. So you gotcha.
Well,
I-
no,
I
but
have-
it's called gachapon, right, Chio-san?
Uh,
The gotcha is the sound of the turning the thing, and the pon is the sound of the thing coming out. And so it's just an automatopoeia Japanese word.
That's wild. Because I
is-
would not
is
have
now-
like
I
I
associated
hear
that sound with
gotcha
that.
game from mostly from Americans I know who are like, it's a gotcha game. And it sounds
Yeah.
like it's a got you game, right? That's what it sounds
Right,
like
yeah.
in English. But no, it's
But like when
a
I
game
learned how
where
it
you
was spelled,
pay to get a
like
thing.
that's where I was like, oh,
But,
okay, I'm
I
probably wrong
mean,
about this or whatever.
those style of games though are kind of like that. Anyways, they're trying to get you to keep playing.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it makes sense.
True. Yeah.
And
It's one of those weird things where it just makes sense even though it's not necessarily supposed to.
Yeah,
like,
right. Exactly.
Right. Well, and it's thanks Overwatch. Appreciate you for getting all of this started with gaming. I associate it very much
yeah.
with Overwatch.
well,
Like
and I mean, like,
Overwatch and all
Destiny has always had really bad RNG, So, I mean, like,
Right.
But in terms of Destiny Rising, one of my frustrations is that Destiny Rising is just, I don't know, that seems like a lazy name to me. It seems pretty generic.
I mean,
Destiny is generic enough, but then
Isn't
Rising,
Destiny-
yeah, but
yeah.
adding
Destiny
like
Rising,
yeah,
super
yeah.
generic.
Set in an alternate Destiny timeline is what they call it. It's like, okay, all right.
well, but here's the
Uh,
thing though, right? Is couldn't that kind of work in the lore itself, right? Like it could be from like Elsie's place,
Yeah,
right?
no, absolutely. You could absolutely do like some kind of like multiverse or alternate universe kind of thing with it. The question is whether they will, and I doubt it. I very
Can
much doubt
we
it.
get
We'll see,
away
but-
from the multiverse? I'm so multiversed out. Can we?
We're almost
like-
done with it. We're almost out. Don't
Oh
worry.
my god! So
Yeah.
what are we gonna swing back around to? Our vampires gonna be the big thing again? Is it time for
maybe.
that?
Yeah.
Like I'm fine with that as long as it's
I
not.
think we're going to see a
multiverse.
resurgence in fantasy. I think fantasy is coming back.
Yeah, they've been
I would
trying to
say-
get fantasy to come back, and I feel like it would. Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, I feel like it's come back in some ways. Like, I mean,
It
Yeah.
has, especially with Lord of the Rings stuff coming up, and other stuff that
the
Peter
Wheel of
Jackson
Time series
worked
on Amazon.
Yeah,
All that,
maybe it's
yeah.
maybe it's
I think it's
gonna
gonna
be
number one again soon.
maybe it's gonna be Cowboys, right? You guys remember that movie Cowboys and Aliens?
Yep.
That was a good one. Maybe Cowboys are going to be a thing. But I'm done with the multiverse, you guys. I'm just not about it.
But then
It's just
also
too much
so
to
they
keep track of when you don't care. That's
No,
all.
I agree. I agree. Like if you're super invested, it's great. But the longer it goes on, the harder it is to be that invested. And like, I mean, that's it. It just
When you have
becomes more and more to
especially when
keep
you
track
have
of.
TV.
And, yeah.
Yeah, when you have TV integrated into it, that's even more so. Like if it's just movies, that's one thing. I can do like an hour or two, find a spot for it. But if it's like a whole show added on to the movie, it's like a whole thing. And I appreciate it when I had time, but now that I don't have time, it's too much. It's just too much.
Yeah.
Which I hate to say that, but like content is content, but at the same time, you don't have time, you don't have time. So you end up not watching it at all.
Exactly. You end up just being like, I don't have time. I'm just not going to get into it. Or you hear the word silver timeline and you're like, got it. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to watch it.
Silver time. Like, that word, like you guys were saying, that word means like, I don't care, so to speak. But in a way, it seems to me, it's like, we're testing this, like, this is a test because if we fail, it's not going to affect the other things. But if we do well, we'll just run with our ideas, It's like they can't go wrong because it's like this is the test phase. It's like the alpha or the beta, of TV shows or whatever. And usually they don't do so hot. So there you go.
The thing about it that's funny to me is I feel this way and I didn't watch the Halo show. Right? Like I don't have that, that issue like you guys do with the Halo show. Which, by the way, I don't even know that I can watch it. Right? You can't buy it anywhere, right?
It might not be purchasable.
I don't think it is purchasable.
Yeah.
Well, no, because it's a you can't purchase like Stranger Things either, right? The Halo show. It's
but like
only on.
I think that completely depends on like the platform that it's on or whatever too, though. Sometimes, right? Like some stuff does come out.
Oh my gosh, you guys! I can buy. Wait, this just in. I can buy Halo Season 1 and 2, the box sets, for $30. Both of them.
I wouldn't say it's worth it, but you do you.
And I was going to say, and I'm still not going to do it. Still not going to do it. Listen, if I want to watch bad Halo, I can just play a 343 game. Am I right?
Or a Bungie game.
Farm, did your power go out?
No. I was actually plugging my my power supply back in.
Farmer's been doing this whole podcast from his phone for no reason.
For no real reason. I'm plugging my power supply back in because the power's not out. So I'm going to start my PC back up and to see what happens. It's probably going to turn off right as soon
as things get situated.
Well, but also, is it that they said it was going off at 11, or did they say like from 11 to whenever?
So here's the exact text they sent me. They said
another original.
We have a scheduled plane outage in Gainesboro beginning Saturday, 10/26/24, 11 p.m. and ending at 5 a.m. on the next day.
Oh wow! Don't open your fridge. That's a long time.
That's a really long time.
It's a 6 hour, and they must have had some kind of hiccup because it's probably going to go off before too long, and it's probably going to stay later.
Yeah.
They're going to find the 6 hours somewhere.
How about they just do their jobs faster? How about that?
Or maybe I'm just not in the area that's actually being affected.
That
that would be wild.
I would have thought because they marked all these places, and then they even said like downtown, which we're kind of like on the outskirts of downtown.
I didn't know you lived down in downtown Game. What? That's awesome.
We're not really downtown, but like downtown's only like 7 minutes from here because it's a small town. So
I love also like the distances you guys say 7 minutes. Like, I mean, that's probably pretty far because like I'm used to like it's like a 10 minutes walking to my studio, right?
Yeah,
7 minutes driving.
when I lived in Chicago, and I was like a 10-minute walk from work, and now I'm like a 12-minute drive from work. And it's just like
Right.
those are
It's
very
a big-
different distances.
It's a very different distance, right? I went to America a few
you
years
say
ago.
that, but my distance is just going around a curve. Honestly, as the crow flies, it would be like so close. It's kind of crazy. It's just a hilltop over, and
But
that's where
could you
Gainesville
walk?
is.
Can you walk over the hill?
I could, but the other side of it, has kind of a drop. So probably not a good idea.
Yeah. Because, like, man, I went to Texas for my sister-in-law's wedding like 5 years ago, and maybe I've told the story on the podcast. I don't know. So they are 45 minutes from the closest Walmart. Okay, driving, and that's like driving like on a highway in Texas, right? Like really far. And me living in like walkable Japan, I don't understand this. And so someone's like, I'm going to Walmart. Does anyone want anything? And I'm like, no, I don't want anything. I'm good. And they're gone for like 2.5 hours.
Jeez.
So obviously by the time that they get back, I'm like, man, I really wish you would have gotten me something.
I'd legit be like kind of worried. I'd be like, yeah, they said they were just going to go to Walmart. Like, what the heck?
Yeah. I mean, that's not too far off from us. I mean, we're 30 minutes, but yeah, that extra 15 minutes does seem like forever, though. I'd say 45 is just too much.
Yeah.
30 is still kind of far, but it's not that bad.
And for reference, I live 20 minutes from the nearest Costco, and that place, sometimes I'm like, it's really far. You guys, maybe we shouldn't go. It's 20 minutes away.
I guess it depends on how hungry you are or how ready you are to get the stuff, the supplies.
Yeah.
Oh, my screen's all black.
But D, do you have anything you want to cover?
I mean, I don't know. There's been a bunch of weird stuff, like in regards to like Destiny proper too. Netflix games shut down. That was kind of weird. Without
Netflix
releasing like a
games?
single.
Netflix had games that were just like boom, gone.
Yeah, like literally. Well, no, like I think the Netflix like games that are on Netflix are still there, but like they started up that AAA studio. That's where Joe Staten went from Halo.
Oh right,
from 343.
Yeah, I was expecting something.
He went to go head
pretty
that,
big.
and now it's gone after like 2 years or whatever.
That's too bad.
Yeah,
You should have stayed with Halo.
yeah.
Of course,
Icebreaker is in Destiny now with the latest dungeon.
I heard.
Yeah.
Wait,
that almost pulled me back.
What's in Destiny? What?
Icebreaker, baby, is back.
Oh my god.
I'm going to go play Destiny just because
No. Hold on. That is the most desperate I've heard Destiny yet. That they brought back Icebreaker from 10 years ago?
Destiny's dying when they brought back Icebreaker.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that they're like, hey guys, you remember this gun? It's probably a heavy now, Farm. You don't want it.
It's their ace up their sleeve. Like we've been pulling this out for a long time, just in case, bring people back.
It's a heavy, and they changed it so that it doesn't auto regen ammo. Final blows or assists.
Okay, it's not the same gun. It's not the same gun.
Yeah, final blows or assists have a chance to create ammo for it. Apparently,
that is ridiculous.
I love that they're gonna bring back a gun, and then literally it's like
the one reason that you had it.
Yeah, the one thing that was special about it. No, it's not.
I mean, being able to get ammo for it by using like literally anything kind of sounds neat, but like not enough to pull me, and definitely not the same as Icebreaker was. You know,
auto regen,
that's not
man.
Icebreaker at that point. Yeah,
you could sit in a boss fight by yourself and just take them out slowly, and just cheese just about anything. It was great. I loved it.
It wasn't even a good sniper. Like
it wasn't that great. No, it was.
It wasn't.
It wasn't stable. The impact was pretty low.
Man,
like
Patience
it was an
was a way
sniper
for
amazing sniper players. Okay, you have to be a sniper to appreciate. Okay,
it wasn't even a good sniper.
Bad about my sniper. Okay,
all that sniper had was that and granted, it's a big thing that it automatically regens its ammo. It's a huge thing, especially on like when there was like the skulls that ammo wasn't dropping and stuff.
Right.
Like,
well, you think about Destiny 1. Literally, never had any ammo to use a sniper. So then you have a gun that auto regens. Yeah, I'm on board.
Yeah, fantastic.
Now we don't have that problem though.
Well, that and then it's like
doesn't have that problem as much.
But also, it's like it's the special thing that it did. So what
It
you're
is.
saying is they brought back like a not great sniper.
They kind of, yeah. And then just
if they had
you
brought
have
it
to
back the way
actually,
it was, because
yeah.
there was a lot of recoil, but you got a lot of damage if you hit those headshots, and it was worth it. But
They're like,
again, it was a totally different thing, because
every time
nowadays
you fired that gun, you would like turn around. Basically, that's how bad the recoil was.
that's
If you
what I
fired
loved
it,
about it,
you
man.
would you would do a 180.
Man, I love that, honestly. The whole recoil about it, like when you hit that shot and hit that head, man, it just felt right. It just felt good. I can't explain it any more than that. It's just there's a feeling when you fire that gun. It just felt good.
So guys, I need to tell you. So this is another visual bit. We're just doing visual bits on the podcast. Chiho is here at the studio as well, and she is currently making a cup. She wants to start selling like fantasy inspired cups, and she's making a cup. And I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. This cup looks way better than what I was expecting. It looks like a cup. It looks like a cup. She thought I was going to be super negative. I was really worried. You know what I mean? that like, how am I going to tell Chiho her cup sucks? Right?
Yeah.
It looks great. That looks like a cup. Not only does it's not even close to being done yet, but the shape of it, it's like I understand this. I would buy that. Yeah, I understand what it is. The only cups I've seen made by hand here are either made by like intense professionals or literal children, right? So I'm like, oh man, is Chiho gonna make this weird cup that is like in a weird shape, and I have to hold it and be like, maybe we shouldn't invest that much money into this. Chiho wants me to bring up this story that okay, let's talk about how I'm a hater. I'm a hater, everybody.
Yeah, I mean,
Someone,
really?
I had no idea.
Yeah, what?
Wow, that just hit me right between the eyes. I had no.
Someone was complaining on Threads, and they were like, I have
What?
a master's degree in art. I have
Threads. Are we
3
back
bachelor's
on
degrees.
Threads? Are we
I have
literally
all of
back on
this stuff.
Threads?
And they were like, and I'm so embarrassed because people don't think I'm a real artist because I don't get any collaborations. And like or I don't get any jobs or collaborations. And the last job they tried to get, they told the person like, your art's not ready for the world yet, kind of a deal. And they're like, I don't know that I can keep doing this. Like, this is my passion. I don't get it. Da 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 da. So I went to their art portfolio website, and I get it. I get why they have no work. I get why brands don't want to work with them. And I get why a brand was like, your art's not ready for the world. And I was talking with Chiho about it, and I was like, hey, listen, I'm glad that you're a good artist and that I don't have to be the person who breaks it to you, right? To be like, listen. And to make this person not sound so terrible, I don't know if this makes sense. Their art, I could really see like artistic types liking it, but like it's not like mass consumption or something a brand would be interested in working with. You know what I mean? You guys know, like
it's art for art's sake that somebody who's artistic would appreciate.
Right.
But,
it's like
yeah,
or I think of like it doesn't actually look like a person, but people who like painting will be like, wow, it's so fascinating, but like it's not.
There's a different story there if you look into it. The whole feeling behind it, like, there's another level of artistry, but not everybody's there. It's a very small percent that would actually appreciate it.
And a lot of brands don't necessarily want to work with that kind of art, right? Like they want just like, that's not what people are going to hire you for to make for their company.
Right. Well, they're also looking at the numbers, they're looking at what people consume, and they're wanting to hit that slot, that hit that, the percentage that, consumption is, like not the like, oh, the 1% where that nobody ever sees because nobody cares. Right. Not that it somebody doesn't care, but it's still, that's what businesses are doing. They're looking at ways to make money, far be it that they're, doing that. Of course, that's what they're going to try to do. And you got to fill it out, and you got to get the best people that make sense for your, your overall scheme, your whole overall, work projection.
Well, that and like on one hand, people will tell people all the time to niche down, right? Like get into your niche, and there will be people there. But you got to
Fair
make sure
enough.
you get into a niche that there are people in.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
can't be niche all by yourself. I mean, you can, but it doesn't pay very well.
Right, exactly. Or, it's, it sounds a bit heartless, but sometimes you need to be in a niche that people can pay, right? Like,
Yeah, that's definitely the idea.
yeah, like there's a reason that like certain niches just don't do as well. But yeah. Like look at Fortnite. Huge appeal, right? Huge
Sure.
appeal.
Yep. And then what was that game that that Sony put out that didn't even last?
Oh, Concord?
Yeah, Concord. Yeah.
Well, I think of even
Maybe do you think they were too niche, like too copy like?
Oh, I forgot. There's one other piece of news that's like that's really great. It's fantastic.
Oh, go ahead.
Overwatch is bringing 6v6. They did it.
Oh, they did it. Wow.
They did it again. Wow, 6v6. It's amazing.
The Overwatch is appling it. The problem is I didn't know that they stopped doing 6v6. What?
Yeah, no. Part of the whole point of Overwatch 2 was that it was going to be 5v5, so that was going to change up the dynamics of it.
Oh my god.
And they're like, you know what? We're back.
Yeah.
We did a thing. We did it again. Woo.
It's so you know what? You know what you guys need? One more person on the team.
I think they literally called it like a new exciting 6v6 mode. It was like,
oh my god.
Okay.
And everybody else is like, oh, you mean the one from Overwatch 1?
Yeah, Overwatch. But going back to Fortnite, like, and not niching down, I even think of Fortnite compared to like PUBG, right?
Mhm.
Like, and the appeal that Fortnite has versus PUBG and like the aesthetic and stuff like that. Like, it just makes sense.
That said, PUBG had a phenomenal launch. It was like the biggest thing before Fortnite. And since then, obviously, things have changed a lot. Fortnite kind of like hit that glass ceiling and broke it.
Mm.
Yeah, well, they did something that a lot of the other games were not doing. They were really appealing to the younger crowd. And who's going to be in your games longest, is going to be the young crowd. And if you can pull in the young crowd to pull in the older crowd, to pull in the dads that are gamers and their sons playing together, you're going to, get something like Fortnite. And that's what happened. They found a market that is quite, profitable, honestly. It's just crazy.
I mean, it's not untrue, right? Like, we're still playing Halo, and we were young when Halo came out, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And like other, people may not be as interested as it's like, come on, man, Halo. But
I'm still interested, just so you know.
yeah, no, I don't know. I'm interested to see. I feel like Halo feels really stagnant, so I'm interested to see what they go forward with, right? Like in a world,
Halo 2,
especially
baby.
Gaming has changed so much in the last 10 years, and Halo, I feel like, hasn't changed as much, and I'm interested to see with Halo Studios, what are they going to explore with like the Halo franchise, because it is
with the new engine. Yeah, I'm really excited to see what in the world they do.
They've tried to change
more.
I feel like it's the problem that like whenever like someone tries to change or whatever, and then they hear negative feedback, and so they go back to their roots, right? Because like Halo 5 Guardians was very much a change, in a lot of ways. Yep. But it also
that's
got a lot of hate,
Halo,
and some of it was very deserved, But I mean, like, that's Halo Infinite was like trying to do like this open world thing, and I think they were generally fairly successful at it. But I mean, like, it was definitely a change from like everything except for Halo 1, and like, yeah.
Well, I mean, and since Halo, Halo's been big for, in a sense, for a while, and the whole they kind of put themselves in a box because you got to figure out, okay, what makes Halo tick, what makes it special, what do we do to kind of make it the same but also progress it. But the problem
Right.
in lying in underlying the whole thing is that you kind of handicap yourself to be a certain thing instead of like if you're a brand new IP, you can just start fresh, start new and just go from there. But Halo has to keep a certain standard, and there's so many people to tell you how that standard should be, and that's the hard part. No two people are going to agree on the same stuff. Very hard, very hard.
Yeah. Well, you have to get the feeling right, but you have to modernize the actual concept, and that's a really difficult thing to do. We've seen Sony struggle with this, we've seen Ubisoft struggle with this, we've seen Halo struggle with this. This is a very difficult thing to do, where you still remain true to the feel of it, while managing to actually make it not feel like it's.
I feel
old.
like Infinite did a good job with it, but I guess I'm also thinking more of just the Halo IP
storyline, or
right?
Okay, sure, yeah.
Master Chief is such a iconic character, right? And they have other iconic characters too. I think Arbiter, the Brute's design and such. There really is a lot that they could do, and I'm just interested to see if they'll explore it. Right?
Yeah.
Hey, crazy idea. I would be totally down for a cozy Halo game where you're managing a Covenant area. You got your grunt farmers, or you're this, and you're this. It sounds
so
funny.
many things they could do.
It sounds funny, but why wouldn't you do it? Right? But that gets back to it's just the skin, right? It's a cozy game with a Halo skin. But we've talked about that. Star Wars skins sell, right?
Well, have you seen? Did you guys ever watch that trailer of the Mega Bloks game that they're? I think I might have mentioned this once.
Oh, I saw it. Yeah.
It's basically, like a Lego game, and if they could do that, that would also be awesome.
Well, it's the same thing that we've always said about Star Wars or any other IP that's big enough, right? Is that there's unlimited potential with it. Really liked, Johnny was just bringing up, Star Wars. I really liked the 90s and all the different games that came out of Star Wars during that time period.
Mm-hmm.
It was really cool to have a Zoo Tycoon Star Wars game, with Gungans Frontiers, or Jedi Power Battles, or
Galactic
Battlegrounds, or
that's a good one.
Or Empire at War, which was a completely different kind of strategy game. A little
Empire War was so good. Oh,
yeah,
man.
Or it's just
one of my favorites, Force Commander. I really enjoyed that game as well. And it's more
and then you have you have your traditional RPGs Jedi Knight series and everything, and
right.
To have that variety, because that universe was big enough that it absolutely makes sense, was really cool. And we've said the same thing about the Halo movies and TV shows too, Star Wars movies and TV shows too, where the universe is big enough to sustain whatever they wanted to do. And so if they made a Star Wars horror thing, despite me hating horror, I would be all about that.
That would be pretty sweet. I like to see that. I like to see that even in honestly a Halo game, in a style with the whole flood and they've kind of touched on it a little bit, but they could really go in. There's so many different things that they haven't even tapped. And I have some of the licensing and some of the stuff they were trying to do with Infinite, and even before that, that we do. There was Halo Wars, Halo 1, Wars 1 and 2, and there's been some pretty cool things, but they can tap into so many other things that they still haven't.
And as long as they do quality products, and it sounds like they're taking most of the development of this stuff in-house, right? With expanding their team and working on there might be collaborative efforts the one with Certain Affinity, but by and large, it seems like they're planning on expanding their team and doing most of it under the umbrella of Halo Studios, which makes sense. As long as that's done in-house, I don't think we end up with a Destiny Rising situation. I think we don't end up with a Diablo Immortals situation where it's some random mobile game developer doing this thing or whatever. No, I think we can actually get some really cool Halo properties from the Halo team, and because it's all under the same roof, that it'll be some kind of cohesion or developmental
multiple
oversight
storyline
that'll, like,
tellings over multiple games. A multiverse.
or like
oh wait,
just like just having the same person at the top who can like go, that makes sense, that doesn't, like a Kevin Feige, even if they're not necessarily
somebody
like
at the top looking out for the overall scope of everything to make sure it having somebody who's passionate who makes sure it is cohesive and telling a story overall, all the games that they're going to do, which I mean, the idea of doing multiple games already has got me, I'm excited. I'm excited. Halo can, bring it, and they can bring it back if they do it right. And I think Halo Infinite, it had some issues, but there was so much good that came out of it, honestly.
But also, like, would anyone complain here, out of the three of us, if they came out with like 3 or 4 Halo mediocre games per cycle, as opposed to like one pretty good but not quite stellar with a ton of bugs or whatever, like Halo game, like a generation, I feel like we would. I feel like if there were like 3 or 4, like if there was more to like sink our teeth into, then I think we'd be okay with that.
It would be okay that it wasn't like top, like S tier.
If not all of them were like the best thing on earth, I think we'd still be,
Well, and even though they're supposed to be, like, we still get like B class narratives, like or you maybe even see like Halo 5, like the campaign wasn't quite where we wanted it to be, and the fact that that's the only game that they had in that universe, you're just like, where are you picking up the pieces? Where are you getting the rest of it? Well, you have to read the books. Who's going to do that? Well, there just needs to be more. There needs to be more branch out and figuring out, kind of like what Star Wars has done and some of the other bigger franchises that are out there. Halo is that big, if not bigger. They can make it, but it's
but also
they've had a
like
limited vision. For sure.
I would be willing to even take in again, like, we're in the world now where like smaller games don't come out as often. It's weird because like at the same time, small games come out all the time, but like, like Xbox arcade type stuff, we don't see as much. It's like a whole different genre, but like Halo and that, sure. But also like it would be nice just to get, some DLCs and not just season passes.
No, I agree. Yeah. I do agree with that. I also think, though, too, like, the more shots you take, the more chances that you have to actually, like, hit something, right?
Right.
Like, and I keep on going back to the Star Wars games of the 90s, where a lot of them were pretty B tier or even C or D tier, Like, a lot of them were not great, But there were quite a few, like, I can think of, like, more than a handful that were really, really good out of, like, the, like, 50 or so in that era, I mean...
But I think the only way you can do that is if you branch out to multiple studios. So like the way Star Wars did it.
Well,
because they have a bunch of different studios like pushing out that stuff.
Halo Studios, that's plural. I
mean that's true. They've already started showing like some partnering,
and they have like 5 projects in work in progress right now.
So I mean that's. I mean, it's like the Covenant for studios. I mean, that's kind of like what they're looking to do. So
it feels like, man, it just feels so terrible when like studios put like all their eggs in one basket, and then that basket just isn't loved for whatever reason. Like in Halo Infinite's case, I feel like you can make an argument as to like why it wasn't loved, even if it eventually like got good enough to like be deserving. Because at launch it wasn't, and it wasn't even necessarily the launch. It was like the drought, right, after launch. But
yeah, there's a lot of pending reasons why. But bottom line, it is what it is, and it happened the way it happened. And look forward. I would have loved DLC. I still think that there's wasted potential in Infinite's open world. We've talked about this so many times. And I still believe it. They made this vast, game, and it just feels a little devoid of life. A little.
Are you saying that they Ubisofted and built a huge open world that was just empty and boring? Listen,
Well,
I loved playing Spider-Man as Master Chief. Okay, I don't know what you guys are talking about, but swinging around,
nah, man, it felt good.
that was what was up.
Mechanics,
Yeah, that was cool.
gameplay,
Yeah.
all that. I mean, it felt great. And I don't know if you guys heard this, but like, I was really surprised. Even a game that is successful can have no DLC. And did you guys hear that about Spider-Man 2? About it like literally not having any DLC coming out?
I saw that. Yeah.
And so you can be a fantastic game, having a fantastic fan base, and actually go in a great direction with your story. And most people, pretty much, like across the board, everybody, critically acclaimed and everything. Everybody loved it, and still, not push it. Not push the DLC, and like I just don't understand that. Like they have such a huge platform for that game. Doesn't make sense to me. But
it feels a little weird because like Spider-Man, the first one had like what, 2 DLCs, like full DLCs,
or 3 DLCs.
But also like they're also already in work on like what, the Wolverine game, I think, and maybe one other. And so like I mean like maybe they decided to like reallocate resources towards that stuff. I mean,
maybe it's just because they've got. It doesn't make sense in a way to me, but in another way it does, because okay, we've already got all this stuff, that we've already made that we can kind of like repurpose to reimagine these other games, and so it's not as much for us to like recreate it now that we've got it. But on the other hand, it's like, well, why aren't you going to use it if it's that easy? It's like, I don't know. It seems like it must be something like that where they're just like got too much on their plate to do it. I don't know.
It's super intriguing to me to see like all these companies take different tactics, because like you have that, but then you also have like Remedy doing like the Alan Wake DLC, right? And this is what, their second or third DLC for Alan Wake or something like that.
I think it's the second. Yeah.
Yeah. And like then they're also like already like working on that multiplayer game that showed during the Xbox showcase last week, which looks super cool. That takes place in the Control universe, which I guess it's all one universe or whatever. But
right, Alan Wake,
Firebreak.
I think it's the Silver Timeline.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I saw that. What game was that?
It's called Firebreak, and it's a 3-person co-op experience in the Federal Bureau. I don't know why I have a hard time pronouncing that. The Federal Bureau of Control's.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
Control. Gotcha.
And that's coming next year to Game Pass day one. Well, Game Pass.
If you have a certain tier of Game Pass,
it might come to Game Pass standard day one. I mean, who knows?
Listen, there's all the games from Microsoft are going to come to Game Pass day one, except for the Game Passes it doesn't come to day one.
So what you're saying is not all not all Game Passes created equal.
Yes, not all Game Passes are equal. And on that note, does anyone have any closing comments? Anybody?
So did you guys hear about Arkham Shadow like getting released a day early?
No.
That was kind of wild. Apparently there was a specific way of redeeming the game or purchasing it that like bypassed their lock on release for it. And so a significant number of people purchased it in that way. Yeah. And so, like, they decided, you know what? This doesn't make sense to like allow those people to play it and not everybody else. So they just released it for everyone.
Boom, we're free.
But I guess I have this question for it. Arkham Shadow, is this like an actual game or is it like a short experience?
It looks like an actual game. It looks like
I feel like most of the things that have come on to VR, it's like an experience, right? And you get through it, and it's not really like the same thing that you would like sink your teeth into as a game would be. Does that make sense?
I think this might be like changing the landscape for VR. And if this goes so well, I would say I'd like to see a VR Halo game. You know,
That would be cool. They had that VR, that mixed reality experience, but you had to
I
have a
know.
mixed reality headset, which was kind of
I
annoying.
know. I would
Yeah.
love to see something like that in VR. Like that's the next step. That's the next.
But Arkham Shadow is 8 to 10 hours, just in terms of main quest line.
That's awesome in VR.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
sweet. It's about time. It's about time for VR is getting a little bit of love, and why not? An Arkham game to do that. You know, so I hope it's
Right,
good.
Exactly.
I really do. And I kind of want to play it. You know, and now I can't. So it's like,
Yeah.
Well, on that note, do check out Arkham Shadow and make sure you guys
Not
like
sponsored.
and subscribe. Yeah, we're not sponsored. So you know what? We're not sponsored.
they can follow us.
Don't
They
check
can
it
email us.
out. Don't go check it out because they are not sponsoring us to say that. Go leave a bad review.
No, don't do that.
I don't
I think
endorse
that's
that
it.
either.
Bye.
Get out of here, Craig.